Hey, it's me again. This is Ryan. Hey, I forgot to add the second piece of my screencast. I wanted to show you one of the ones that I've been working on. I'm not 100% finished with my session, but I'm doing one called So Long Worksheets, and I wanted to show you how I converted the template into something that I'm going to be able to discuss. So you can see here, I put in my title, I put in myself, what I do, and then what the session is all about. Like the first the point that we said is really focusing on who you are and what's the topic. And so at that particular time, I'm going to have a conversation with them. I'm going to talk about my connection with the topic, about how I had an experience in terms of in my classroom about really kind of breaking up with traditional kind of worksheets and so forth. And so within here, I'm going to talk a little bit about some things. So if I'm talking about worksheets, I'm going to say, hey, by the way, there's nothing necessarily wrong with paper and a pencil, but let's take a look at some of what those classic worksheets are. And so I got some screenshots of what, fill in the blanks are like, and vocabulary matching, and the dreaded crossword puzzle and so forth. And you can see I put in some silly pictures, but do not sort of, get caught up in sort of putting bells and whistles and that kind of stuff in there. I just wanted to be able to have a conversation and show them a little bit about what those worksheets kind of were in the past and my connection with them. And I'll tell a story about what I did in my history class to be able to migrate away. So that's going to transition me naturally into how have I used and implemented this topic. So I'm going to talk about the bigger questions. Say, hey, listen, it's not necessarily just about textbook, about worksheets, but the big thing is about the textbook in the class. How heavily am I relying on the textbook's ancillary materials to be able to do those checks for understanding? And so what are some ideas of things that I have done? So I'm going to talk about how I transitioned and I came up with, instead of worksheets, I came up with quests and challenges, talk about a little bit of my experiences about what I did, and then demonstrate here about what I've done. You can see here I'm talking about that. Although the kids are on Chromebooks, I don't necessarily think that they should always be have their heads buried in Chromebooks. I wanted to be able to focus on group activities, all and multimedia projects, all with the idea that worksheets, like here's a worksheet that I created, but these can drive students to be active learners and demonstrators of their own learning, without doing your traditional sort of fill in the blank and that kind of stuff. I'm going to show some examples, some screenshots of my worksheets and talk about, you can see I put some notes down here on the bottom to myself about things that I want to talk about. These are the hows and the whys and what do you do? What do you think about kind of the questions that I want the students to be able to answer. Ooh, that got kind of messed up a little bit. And then I'm going to talk more about like where I put the resources and all that kind of stuff. So I can show screenshots and such of what I've done. And then lastly, the transition about how you can do it in your classroom. So for me, I'm going to introduce this idea of what HyperDocs were all about and this movement called Teachers Give Teachers, about where lots of people are posting their own ideas of sort of the new worksheets and so forth. Showed some examples. I don't teach science, but I showed an example of where you can be able to go and find one. Here's one on evolution and how this worksheet, not this worksheet, but this HyperDoc focuses on the exploring and the explaining component that you want them to do there. And then I'm going to even talk about some concerns that people may have, because I think the biggest concern as you do these breaking up with worksheets is the idea of your time, how much time that you're using. And then I'm going to put some of my closing information in here. Haven't completely finished. I got to add my resources, but that's kind of in general what we're looking to do. And in the end, I'm going to hopefully give some time for them to be able to walk through and be able to make their own. Within there, I didn't demonstrate it and get out of the screen, this screencast, but I was going to walk them through how I made my digital worksheets and so forth. So anyway, that's kind of in a gist how it goes. And if you guys like what we said and have any questions, feel free to let us know.